Welcome back, everyone, to Total Earwax. In the previous chapters, we followed Tan, Mr. Kham, and the monk as they set out on a perilous journey to confront the dark sorcery of Cambodia. They faced the fortune teller, freed restless spirits bound by pain and anger, and uncovered a chilling truth. Acha Soth, the master of an ancient forbidden curse, was the true shadow pulling the strings all along. But tragedy struck. The monk and Mr. Kham fell, one after another, leaving Tan alone to bear the heavy burden of fate. His path now leads straight into the border forests, where the gates of evil are beginning to crack open. Sinister laughter, blood-soaked apparitions, and a hidden Khmer stone chamber filled with unholy power all await him in the very heart of darkness. And now, it's time to step into the next chapter of this haunting journey. The funeral drums fell silent. In their place, only Tun's pound heartbeat remained and the dreadful rumble from the stone gate. The crack widened. 2 blazing red eyes pierced through him, as if every vein in his body was about to explode. A freezing breath hissed through the trees, and in an instant, the entire forest withered. Then a voice echoed. Not a single voice, but 1,000 wails of tortured souls, a curse whispered for 1,000 years. You who dared to disrupt my ritual, you will take their place. You will become the final sacrifice. A monstrous arm burst from the crack and slammed into the earth. The ground shook violently, stones shattered, craters opened. From within, black smoke gushed forth, and inside, faceless spirits crawled like maggots, shrieking in agony. The fortune teller collapsed, half her body scorched. Yet she laughed, a maddening, broken laugh. Do you see now, Tun? Even if I die, you cannot stop him. Acha Soth has awakened. At once, the stone gate shattered into fragments. From the suffocating black void, a massive figure stepped forth. The forest itself darkened, as though swallowed whole. Acha Soth revealed himself, taller than the ancient trees, skin black as cinder, etched with glowing crimson tattoos. On his back, countless writhing arms, slithering like serpents, grasping for wandering souls. Every step he took rotted the ground beneath, raising the corpses of Khmer soldiers, turning them into an army of the damned. Tun staggered, overwhelmed, but gripped his prayer beads tightly. He shouted, to drown his own fear. You may devour 10,000 souls, but I will not let you destroy this land. The beads blazed with radiant light, forming a protective circle, a barrier against the swarming spirits. But Acha Soth only sneered. The arms on his back stretched out in unison and slammed down upon the glowing shield. Boom! The earth split apart. The barrier wavered, flickering on the brink of collapse. In that suffocating instant, a voice whispered inside Tun's mind. The voice of his old master. To defeat him, you cannot rely on charms alone. You must awaken the true strength within your compassion. Tun bit his lip. He knelt to the ground, closed his eyes, and began to chant softly, not to kill, but to release. The prayer beads trembled, then burst into a brilliance greater than ever before. The souls Acha Soth had swallowed faltered. Their faces emerged, vague, trembling, eyes glistening with tears, torn between darkness and release. Acha Soth roared, his writhing arms thrashing, the storm of shadows raging like a hurricane. No, he is mine. They are all mine. And thus, the true battle had only just begun. The border forest, cold, black, silent, except for the wind, cutting through the trees like someone crying in the dark. Tan stumbled forward, his body broken, blood dripping from wounds left by the robed figures. Each step sank into the wet soil, leaving a trail of red. Then, a roar. Violent, from the shadows it came. A starving tiger, bones pressing through its striped skin, eyes glowing red like something possessed. It leapt, straight for his throat. Tan raised a bamboo staff, his last defense. But his arm shook. He had nothing left. Rip, claws tore into his shoulder. Hot blood spilled. He dropped to the ground, vision fading to black. And just as the beast lunged for the kill, thwack, a spear slammed into the tiger's ribs. The animal howled, staggering into the night. Out of the dark, a figure rushed forward. A young man, tall, sharp-eyed, muscles coiled like a hunter. He lifted Tan, voice low, steady. Stay alive, you're not done yet. When Tan woke, he wasn't in the forest anymore. A wooden hut, simple. The air thick with the scent of herbs, his wounds bandaged, his savior sitting by the fire, grinding roots in silence. The man looked up, his eyes burned with something fierce. My name is Dara, first disciple of Master Sokha. And you, who are you? What are you doing? In a forest where everything starves? Tan froze. That name, Sokha. Fate had dragged him exactly where he needed to be. Through clenched teeth, he told everything. The sealed gate, the robed cult, the fortune teller, and finally, the horror of Acha Soth. Dara's jaw tightened. His hands gripped the mortar until his knuckles went white. You shouldn't be alive. If Acha Soth has risen, his voice dropped to a whisper. This land will drown in blood. Days passed. Under Dara's care, Tan's strength returned, though scars still burned across his skin. His spirit, however, had hardened. Then one morning, Dara walked in. He placed a wooden staff on the table, carved with strange symbols. Come, it's time. You'll meet my master. If anyone knows how to fight Acha Soth, it's him. Tan's eyes sharpened. He nodded. Together, they left the hut. Fog swallowed the mountain path. And in the distance, rising from the edge of the cursed forest, stood an ancient shrine. The place where Master Sokha waited. The mountain path was swallowed in fog, so heavy, even the forest birds had fallen silent. After days of walking, Tân and Dara finally stood before an ancient shrine, its stone walls choked with moss, hidden against the sheer cliffside. Inside, unmoving before the altar, sat an old man, his hair white as snow, his face carved by time, his eyes deep, as though they had witnessed countless lifetimes. This was Sokha. He opened his eyes when they entered, a glance at Tan, then Dara. His gaze hardened. Dara, you should not have brought a stranger here. He carries a heavy stench of blood, like a spark before the storm. Tan dropped to his knees, forehead to the ground. Master, please save the village. I saw it with my own eyes. Acha Soth breaking free of his seal. If we don't stop him, not just one village, but this entire land will drown in blood. Sokha was silent for a long time. Then, with a slow shake of his head, his voice came low, steady. You do not understand. Acha Soth is the wrath of thousands of dead souls. He cannot be destroyed, only bound. But the seal is cracked. No one alive can restore it completely. To face him is to invite death. Tan lifted his head, his eyes wet with tears, yet burning with resolve. Even if it means death, I cannot stand by. My family, my people, this land. If no one else will rise, then I will. Better to die fighting than to live and watch them consumed. The shrine fell silent. The oil lamp flickered, as though moved by Tan's words. Dara stood frozen, respect stirring deep within his chest. Sokha closed his eyes, sighing. Then he rose. From the altar, he took an old scroll, stained with the weight of years. Your resolve is strong, but resolve alone is not enough. This is the seal of the wind spirit, a forbidden right passed down from the ancients. If mastered, you may call upon divine power, long enough to hold the seal in its final moment. But remember, misuse it, and your soul will be devoured. He placed the scroll in Tan's hands, his gaze sharpened. I do not give you hope. I give you a path. Walk it or fall. The choice is yours. Then Sokha turned to Dara. You have followed me for years, yet never left this mountain. Now the time has come. This is your trial. Go with him, not only to aid him, but to prove yourself against the weight of your own karma. Dara knelt low, voice firm. As you command, Master. Tan clutched the scroll tight, his heart heavy with fear, yet lifted by purpose. This was no mere incantation. It was the last hope against Acha Soth. Outside, black clouds gathered. The wind howled through the trees, as if the earth itself knew the end was coming. In the courtyard of the ancient shrine, shrouded in a suffocating mist, Sokha stood tall. Around him, a circle of weathered stones carved with strange ancient Khmer symbols. At the very center, he placed a cracked bronze drum, its surface etched with the image of a beast rising from a sea of fire. Sokha's voice cut through the silence. To master the wind spirit incantation, you must fuse your very breath, your very soul into the chant. One mistake, one faltering beat, and the vengeful energy will turn on you. It will burn you alive from the inside out. Tân lowered himself cross-legged inside the circle, clutching the scroll tight. Each line of scripture seemed to breathe hostility, filling his chest with crushing weight. He closed his eyes, inhaled deeply, and tried to match his voice to the rhythm of the drum. Boom, boom, boom. Every strike echoed like it rattled his bones apart. Sweat poured down his back. Then, a black wind slammed into the circle. Out of the fog, faces emerged. Distorted faces of dead soldiers, their eyes hollow, their mouths twisted in eternal screams. They rushed at Tân, clawing, wailing, dragging him toward the pit of hell. His body convulsed. The blood in his veins boiled. His heart felt ready to explode. But then, he remembered. The gaze of the monk, of Mr. Calm, of the villagers waiting in fear. He clenched his teeth and screamed the chant back into the storm. A violent flash erupted. The prayer beads around his neck burst with light. The glow collided with the curse, forcing the spirits back into the fog. Tun collapsed, gasping for air. His face pale, but his eyes now sharp with resolve. Sokha gave a slow nod, then turned to Dara. Your turn. This is the golden tiger blade, forged from the bones of a sacred beast. It cuts through demons and shadows alike. But remember this, it reflects the soul of its wielder. If your heart turns dark, this blade will turn on you. With trembling hands, Dara received the sword. The steel shimmered cold and blue under the flickering lamp. He bowed low, voice steady despite the shaking in his chest. I vow, I will give my life to protect the temple and stand by Tun in the coming battle. Night fell. Inside the shrine, Tun pushed his broken body through the relentless chants. Outside, Dara swung the blade again and again, each strike slicing through the endless dark. Sokha sat in silence, watching them both. The flame of the oil lamp flickered in his weary eyes, and in a low whisper, he said, Fate has already chosen. This battle is not just to seal away Acha Soth, but to test whether human hearts still burn bright enough to hold back the darkness. Above them, the moon hung black, thick and heavy, as though stained with blood. The end of days was drawing near. The endless days of training had pushed Tan's body to the brink of collapse. Yet in his eyes, the fire of determination never once faded. Clenching his teeth, he hurled himself into the final step of the Fongling incantation. But before the spell could be completed, a surge of vengeful energy backfired, tearing his consciousness apart and dragging him down into the abyss. When he opened his eyes, Tan stood in the middle of a familiar village, but now it was nothing but a sea of blood. Homes reduced to ashes, bodies scattered, the screams of children, the snapping of bones, the slashing of blades, all pierced into his mind like 1,000 needles. He saw the faces he knew so well. Old Madame Tam, collapsed at her altar. Mr. Calm, hanging lifeless from a beam, and the children lying still in crimson pools of silence. Then, the stone gate appeared again. Blood poured from its cracks, and from within came the low, venomous whisper of Acha Soth. Do you see? This is the fate you've brought them. All of them dead because of you. Release it, let go, and it all ends here. Tan dropped to his knees, clutching his head, blood dripping from the corner of his lips, his will fading, his breath broken. Just as the darkness was about to consume his soul, a slender figure stepped forth from the mist of blood. She wore a simple white dress, her face gentle yet unyielding. It was Ngak, the woman Tan had longed for. Night after night, the faint light of hope in his war-torn life. She said nothing at first, only reached out her hand, her eyes filled with both sorrow and strength. Have you forgotten? You promised you'd return. Stand up, Tan. Don't abandon me. The world trembled. The cries, the stench of blood, even Acha Soth's poisonous whisper, all began to fade. In that moment, Tan's heart ached with pain, but also ignited with fire. He roared, his body shaking, clutching the prayer beads with all his strength. For you, and for everyone, I will not fall. The sea of blood shattered, the nightmare crumbled, shadows split apart and dissolved into nothingness. And there, at the edge of the abyss, only Ngak's hand remained, shining like a beacon, pulling him back into the light. After days of rest and quiet meditation, Tan's spirit had finally steadied. The Fongling charm within him was slowly fusing, his aura glowing brighter, his eyes burning like hidden fire. One morning, as sunlight pierced through the forest canopy, Sokha summoned both Tan and Dara into the wooden hut. On the old wooden table, he placed down two objects, each wrapped in black cloth. He stared at them for a long time, before speaking in a heavy voice. Open quote, "This path is not one I can walk with you. What you must face is not only the darkness outside, but the darkness within yourselves. For you, Dara, this is your trial as my disciple. And for you, Tan, this is the destiny you can no longer escape." Close quote. Then, slowly, Sokha unwrapped the black cloths. In the dim light, two sacred objects revealed themselves. A small bronze bell, carved with ancient Khmer runes, its sound strong enough to break illusions and scatter vengeful spirits. And a black ironwood sword, soaked in incense and charms, capable of cutting through spirits, as if they were flesh and blood. Sokha placed the bell in Tan's hands and the sword in Dara's. Open quote. This bell, I call it the soul chime. Each strike will drive back the evil will, but it will also drain your strength. Use it wisely, for every toll comes with a price. And this sword, the Shadowbane Woodblade, it is not sharp, but your faith, your spirit, your will become its true edge. Dara, whether you can walk the path of my disciple depends on this blade. Close quote. Dara gripped the sword tightly, eyes blazing like fire. Tan lifted the bell, its weight crushing down on him. Not only the weight of metal, but the weight of fate itself. Sokha crossed his arms, his voice low, deliberate. Open quote. Remember, I do not leave you behind because I abandon you, but because you must step through death's door on your own. If you fail, no one can replace you. Close quote. His gaze shifted toward the forest, deep knowing, as though he had already seen the future. Open quote. Go now. The demons are close to breaking their chains. Time is running out. Close quote. Both Tan and Dara knelt, bowing deeply. Then, gripping their relics tightly, they rose and walked out of the wooden hut. Their silhouettes faded into the forest shadows, leaving Sokha alone, seated at the table, eyes closed, whispering prayers, as if blessing his two disciples of fate. And that is what happened after Tan came face to face with Acha Soth. The terrifying battle left him broken, defeated, yet somehow alive. By sheer fate, he was found by Dara, the disciple of Sokha, the one who pulled him from the beast-ridden depths of the jungle. Through unyielding persistence and an unshakable spirit, Tan mastered the secret teachings passed down from Sokha, enduring visions drenched in blood and sorrow. And in the memory of the woman he loved, he discovered a strength far greater than his own. Now, with two sacred artifacts in their hands, Tan and Dara are ready to return to the battlefield, to confront Acha Soth once more and the vengeful spirits that still linger. But the trial is far from over, and the fate of the village and the ones they love hangs precariously in the balance. If you wish to know what happens next, whether Tan and Dara can truly put an end to Acha Soth and his dark cult, don't forget to subscribe to Total Earwax so you won't miss the next chapter of this haunting tale. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the darkness.